Hey guys, I wanted to do a video for you remote students on just an overview of chapter 11. I thought that would kind of be a nice idea, and I hope it's fruitful for you. But chapter 11 is about lap joints, and there's a few different lap joints that they're going to discuss in the chapter. And the first is a cross lap, and you'll see that in the Nearpod video. You also see an edge um, lap in the Nearpod video, and an end lap too. It's a joint. That's all it is. And we've kind of been on this process through learning all these different joints. It'll be neat for you to learn a little bit about a finger lap and a full lap, and the half lap. These joints up above have been kind of labeled as half laps as well. And lap joint is kind of the overarching. And then there's another key term, surface lap. And so a lap joint is basically one piece laid or lapped over top of another with two pieces fastened together in the contacting area. There are several different types of lap joints. These look much alike but vary in strength and in how they are made. And so a cross lap is probably the most common. And you'll kind of hear people say cross lap when they're talking about an end lap or a half lap. It's just the way the two pieces cross together. Um, and so there's a couple of pictures in your chapter on page 185. And then so here's the half lap, and here's the full lap, cross lap. But there's also what's called an edge lap, and then finger laps. We often call finger laps finger joints nowadays. So there's that. Safety first, using hand tools, follow all safety rules, always take special care with tools that are sharp. And then they start talking about how to cut it with hand tools. And so using a table saw is what I show you in the Nearpod, and that's a really good way to do it. There's a multitude of ways that can be done. The table saw with the single blade, like the gentleman in the Nearpod does, is probably the most common. You could also do it on the radial saw by raising the height of the blade and then kind of making a bunch of cuts with a stop block on either side so that it can't go too far either way. It can also be done on the router. That's another machine. And we're going to learn about the router. I know some of you haven't learned about it yet, but that's a great machine. The table saw is probably the preferred method. If you were to Google search it, most people would show it being done with the table saw. In a half lap, the pieces are joined, have to be the same thickness, and the gentleman in the Nearpod touches on that. It's super important. If they're not the same thickness, a half lap cannot work because half of the material comes out of one and half of the material comes out of the other. In an edge half lap, dados. So you know what that is. It's a cut that's not a rabbet, that's cut in the middle across the grain. Dados are cut in the edge of the stalk and not into the surfaces. And so that was that picture up above, the edge lap. A full lap is used when pieces with different thicknesses are joined. The procedure for making this type of joint is much like that of when making a cross lap. However, when making a full lap, a seat cut, a rabbet or dado, is made in the thicker piece. The dimensions of the cut must be the same as the width and the thickness of the thinner piece. And so they've given you an example down below here. There's your edge lap again. There's your finger lap joints. And they've gone ahead and laid out the steps for using a hand tool, and they've laid out the steps for using the table saw for you as well. And so there's the cuts of a finger lap joint. And then I have 9 really easy questions. List the 4 types of lap joints. Super easy. If you watch this video, I'm going to make it easy on you. You can scroll right back up to the top. There's your 4 types of lap joints. Try not to make you sick. Which type of lap joint is the most common? Again, scroll back up. I already mentioned it, but the cross lap. I would read that section. Number 3, describe how to lay out the contact area for a cross lap joint in the center of 2 points. There's an entire section up above in laying it out. Laying out the joint. If you read in there, I guarantee you'll find that. Number 4, explain how to use a table saw to make a cross lap cut. Look at this.